right. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. So, welcome to today's session over here. So, as usual, okay, what we're going to be doing is to run through the markets, kind of also highlight some of the opportunities available for you guys. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to put it into the chat. I'll be able to take a look at them and answer questions accordingly, okay? So as usual, let's start off with the dollar index overall first, and of course, just bear in mind that there are a couple of important news for the week itself, especially on central bank. Okay, so just bear that in mind because the fundamentals can actually shift price pretty quickly. Um, so having said that, okay, what I'm expecting on the dollar index for the week here is the continuation of a consolidation. Okay, so right now the expectation here is a ending diagonal, right? And short term here we might still see a little bit of downside, but overall you just want to be on the sell. Eventually, I would, if this diagonal play out, then there's actually more upside potential after which they are a bit more conservative. Then the suggestion is wait for the diagonal to complete, then look for sign of reversal, and you're gonna look to buy the dollar back to the side case. So that's the take on the dollar index. Of course, we do have the FOMC in as well, and of course with the development on Iran and Israel, again, risk on risk off environment would really shift the market overall. Okay, so this one is something that you need to really pay close attention for the week itself, right? How markets going to be developing. And then on euro dollar, I think euro dollar is slightly clearer in terms of the direction that we can focus for this week. Okay, dollar here, the expectation is for price to kind of develop a simple 1, 2, right? Back to some of this area here around 1.14. So that would then present a nice little opportunity where we can look for another swing back up. Okay, so that would essentially fifth wave development, where of course the dollar index will also then complete potentially ending diagonal, right? So again, this one here, if I kind of zoom out, right, you can see that this overall structure is how we're looking at right now. Okay, from all the way the low here, 1, 2, and of course an extended 3, 4, and then we're kind of developing wave 5. Okay, and of course you can clearly see that wave 5 is not really impulsive anymore, very much like a channel structure. So again, sign of a potential ending move. Okay, but nonetheless we are still technically in a bullish structure, so you definitely still want to look for upside. Okay, look out for areas. If price would pull back towards 1.1470, that would present an opportunity to get involved in the buy side of things. GBP USD, this is also very clear in terms of the overall structure, very much a diagonal, potentially also completed, right, where you can see internally we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course right now that's where the invalidation level is going to be. Okay, if you want a bit more conservative, the suggestion here is for price to actually break this minor low first, right, at 1.3515. If price can actually break that, that will give us a little bit more confirmation that the diagonal is completed. Okay, and we can look for reversal. However, if you're a little bit more aggressive and looking to enter the trade, okay, there's actually an opportunity to look out for here. Though personally I won't be looking at this setup, okay, because I feel that it's just a little bit too aggressive. We do have a little bit of fair value gap here. Of course we can also see that we have 1, 2, 3, and then of course price starts to come down. If you can get pulled back towards the fair value gap, potentially that's a setup to sell. Very, very aggressive because we did not really take out this swing low yet, right? So again, depending on your personal choice and preference, that's definitely a very aggressive one, but opportunity is definitely there, right? So that's the take on GBP USD. Right, then we have AUD. AUD is overall very similar to the pound. kind of similar here, right? We kind of have a little bit of a diagonal structure, so expecting that pullback or the move to the downside. But again, same thing, right? You would probably want to wait for an impulsive move to the downside before kind of committing to the sell. So a little bit of patience over here, okay, for GBP and AUD. Probably don't want to be overly aggressive anyway, right? But of course, if you're intraday, you scout an opportunity to sell it, that can potentially turn into a very, very high risk to reward ratio as well. Okay, so if you're keen, pay attention to this too. For some sort of a reversal, then that's the trade opportunity for you. Dollar Canadian, looking at a diagonal structure right now, but the trade plan you can see over here at the bottom is be patient for now, because I would love to actually see price give us a confirmation by giving an impulsive push first, right? Maybe taking out at least some sort of a minor high, and then of course this would then give you that confirmation that the diagonal is complete, price is likely to kind of reverse, and then you wait for the pullback to get involved in the buy. A lot of orders are definitely something you want to pay attention in the overall development of the markets, right? Because again, if the conflict between Israel and Iran were to kind of escalate, then dollar Canadian will also be impacted because of CAT, right? We know that if there's a potential war, crude oil prices will go up, and correlated to that will be the Canadian dollar. So I think this week, from second part of last week going into this week, there are things that are shaping up, so you just want to pay attention to the development of all this that I've just mentioned. Okay, so this is on dollar Canadian. Then we have dollar yen. Dollar yen, in fact, is something that I am looking to get involved. There is a setup. Obviously, if price cuff gets into my entry pending level, this is something that I'll potentially get involved as well, right? So this is the take on dollar yen on the H4. Okay, so what we're seeing here is very, very clear. From this high, we have this move down, A, B, or WX, and then we're kind of expecting this three-wave development, okay, towards somewhere around 146.50, right? And then after that, another push down. So short term, we are expecting the completion of this third move towards 146.50, and that opens up a short-term intra-week opportunity, right? So let me bring you to the particular chart over here in dollar yen, right? So this is a setup that you are looking at, and of course this is a setup that I use to execute trade as well. Principles from SMC. We have, you can see here, liquidity sweat where the market took out that low, reverses very, very quickly to the upside, breaking off those structures high. And then right now, if the market were to pull back towards a fit area, okay, we do have some confluences over here as well in terms of like minor order block. Okay, this lows here can be also acting as a liquidity pool, and then of course confluences with the 67 fit, right? So that would put you around 143.55. That would be the entry. And then of course the stop would just go below the swing. Alright, the stop will go just below the swing, and then the target would just go slightly above that swing as well, right? The average risk to reward ratio of these setups are often going to be 1 to 2, which means if you're going to risk about 1%, your potential take profit is going to be 2%. Right? So this is obviously a pending order. I personally have placed this order already, which means if price were to pull back towards 143.55, that's where I'm going to get involved. Then the stop and take profit, as I mentioned. Okay, so this is definitely one of the trade opportunity to watch out for the week. Okay, and of course, if it kind of aligns into your style, into your trade plan, then great, right? You have an opportunity that can keep a lookout for this week. All right, so this is a pretty clear one on the dollar yen. Then we have gold. Okay, gold is another one that to me is very clear, and I do have a setup as well. Okay, the structure I'm looking at this here right now is basically a diagonal. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To me, this is more of a leading diagonal, right? It's not going to be a major reversal, but we're just simply expecting some sort of a pullback towards where wave 2 is, and then the continuation back up, right? So kind of a short-term opportunity to sell gold. Again, bear in mind on the developments on potential conflict, right? Because again, risk on, risk off, gold as a safe haven, that would have an impact on that. Okay, but let me show you on the intraday kind of setup on gold, right? So this is the one, right? So you can see over here, again, very similar setup based on SMC model, right? We have the sweep of liquidity, which means price kind of breaking the highs, but not really committing to that break, kind of a little bit of a fake break. Then reverses very quickly, taking out that low. Okay, you can even see this as a potential double top or triple top, and then the neckline is broken. And then right now, if price can pull back, again towards the key area at 67, we do have a little bit of a fair value gap here, right? Again, I'm not too kind of like strict and kind of detailed on that, because that is simply just a confluence, right? Not something that is like 100% required, right? In terms of like the fair value gap is really here, right? So this is something I'm looking out for. The entry area is around 3425.5. That's where I place my pending, and then the stop will have to go above that, right? So the stop is going to be at 3451, and then the target is here. Okay. Now in terms of take profit, you can either set it at this swing low, or what you can do is you can go back to the higher time frame and go for extended target, right? Which means you look for maybe TP2, right? Which will put you around 3255. Okay. So if you kind of extend your secondary target to 3255, okay, that would really put you here, which you can see the risk reward kind of increases to 6.4. Okay, now obviously it's not going to be like immediately price just goes towards the area. So what you can do is you have trailing stops, partial profits, kind of management of trade accordingly, right? But just want to show you the potential in which you can really aim for should this trade actually plays out. Okay, so that's on gold. Okay, so this is actually another trade that I'm personally placing a pending order. Something that you definitely can look out for this week. All right. Then we have silver. Silver over here, we are basically looking at a fifth wave development. Okay, so some minor adjustment and update over here. Yeah, okay, so I think this one very clear. The momentum is to the upside, the impulse move is to the upside. But you definitely do not want to be buying at the top, right? So if you're interested in buying it, always kind of wait for a pullback before getting involved in it. Okay, so this is on silver side of things. Okay. Next up, we have crude oil. Okay. So crude oil over here, again, we're bullish on that. Okay. Simply waiting for a corrective pullback to its key area around 68.7. That would give us an opportunity to get involved in the buy side of things, right? And this one here, essentially, we're looking at. Give me a while, yeah. Right. So yeah, again, I was saying on crude oil, right? This one here, wait for the pullback and then look for the upside. Okay, pretty clear cut on this. Of course, again, bear in mind, crude oil is quite sensitive to potential, developments on the war itself. Okay. Then we have S&P. S&P over here, it's quite resilient, to be honest. With Israel and Iran crisis, it seems like it's not really impacting the equities market. However, I'm still expecting that pullback, right? I think, again, you can see this is pretty much a diagonal structure. Definitely not a sell, but more of like waiting for the pullback to get involved in the potential buy. Okay, so that's what I would be suggesting if you're interested in the S&P 500. Really to wait for the pullback. Okay, towards key area at 5870, right? 5870. Right. So that's on the S&P side of things. Then we have pound yen. Pound yen is testing the highs of the range, but nothing really concrete yet. Okay. So I would still see this as some sort of a range-bound environment. So suggestion here is just be patient and then wait for price to like really give us something clear before jumping in. Okay, so nothing too much on the pound yen side of things. Okay, just be patient. Then we have odd yen. Now, odd yen is something interesting because potentially we are looking at a possible sell opportunity, something like this, right? It's a three-wave move, right? WXY. But of course, right now over here, you want to be a little bit patient and wait for perhaps on the lower time frame reverse first. Okay. So this one here, again on the lower time frame, we might have a setup soon, but of course we have potentially liquidity swept. We want the market to take out this low, pull back, and then that would be an opportunity to sell it. Okay. But other than that, you just want to be patient and wait out for price to give us that clarity and commitment to the downside before trading it. Hey, that's on the odd yen. And next is the odd pound odd. Okay, so pound odd over here, I do have a trade running on the lower time frame. Later, I'll show you the trade itself. But we're kind of expecting this to just bounce back up towards the key area over here, right? So this one is a straightforward expectation, something sort of a channelish kind of expectation, right? So something like this, where we're kind of expecting the blue XY. Yeah, so something like this. Okay. So this one here, I have a trade that was triggered, running on the lower time frame here. You can see very simple setup, right? We have that swing low, we have that swing high. Basically, price pulls back towards the 67. That's where we look to get involved, right? That's where the trade was triggered. The overall criteria, we have a little bit of a liquidity sweep here. Of course, we also took out that high. So overall, the conditions are there. We did not get a very ideal kind of a reaction of that. Okay, but as long as price is still respecting the swing low here, overall structure is still bullish. Okay, so we just have to see how price will eventually play out for this particular pair. Okay. Lastly, on BTC, I think this one is also quite clear in terms of the overall development expectation. We are expecting a simple three-wave development over here, and of course, we are expecting short-term push to the downside. Okay, so definitely can look out for sell opportunity for this. Okay, yeah, if you're into cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, then there's an opportunity on BTC here. Okay. Yeah, so generally the key focus, right, kind of highlight a little bit. Um, we do have primarily the dollar, yen, and gold. Okay, that too would naturally be pending orders that I've already have. So definitely key opportunities. You can keep an eye for the week. How all already running. We can mention a little bit on the major pairs. Pound, dollar, and Aussie dollar, or even dollar cat. Potentially have something, but you just want to wait for that commitment, right? From price to really show you that it's reversing. Okay. Um, yeah. So generally, that's the focus for the week. Hopefully, it's clear. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, do let me know. Okay. All good. If there's no question, then that's all I have for this session over here. All the best, and I'll see you guys in the next one.